That was my last eviction serve I did. It was an upstairs. So I go and I knock on the door and there's a guy downstairs and he's like, oh, can I help you? And I was like, oh, I'm here for so-and-so. And he's like, oh yeah, she's in there. So then she comes out and I had this epiphany on the stairs where I'm surrounded. If she comes down the stairs and he comes up, I have nowhere to go.
Welcome to Side Hustle Hero, the show that is laser focused to inspire you to take action to start or to scale your side hustle income streams. I'm your host, Joan Posivy, author of The Way Success Works, How to Decide, Believe, and Begin to Live Your Best Life. Today's guest has built a solid reputation with attorneys as an ace process server because of her ability to get the job done. Lisa Phillips, owner of Pink Lady Investigations, has over the years cultivated a strong network of contacts in and around the PI industry that enables her to offer a variety of services, including infidelity and child custody work, background checks, landlord and tenant disputes, and criminal defense work. But one of the things this self-described extrovert loves to do the most is mentor women who aspire to become private investigators. Whether you're a woman or not, my conversation with Lisa will give you a lot of valuable insights into the world of private investigation. You'll get to hear about what a day in the life of a PI is like, how much you can expect to earn, the differences in fees between investigative work and process serving, how to become a PI, and what makes for the best investigators. Plus, Lisa shares a really creative and low-cost strategy she used to get her company's name on local TV, which could be useful for your own side hustle too. Now here is my conversation with today's side hustle hero, private investigator, Lisa Phillips. Well, welcome, Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
Well, back in my school days, I don't ever recall a guidance counselor talking about becoming a private investigator as a career option. And I'm really looking forward to having you pull back the curtain on what it's like to live in that world. But first, how on earth did you end up becoming a PI?
Completely by accident.
Okay.
It wasn't planned. I had gone through a horrible marriage, horrible divorce, horrible custody battle. And I knew the court system in and out. I knew the courtrooms, the judges. I mean, it was about 4 months, I think. And I ended up getting full custody. But I mean, I lost a ton of weight. I couldn't sleep. It was the most horrible time of my life. And there was no way that I was going to go through it and have that be the end of it. I didn't go through all of that not to help other people.
So it was everything that you went through that caused you to gain all that in-court experience.
Right. And I figured, look, if I can help people go through the court process, then at least I didn't go through that for nothing. And it wasn't for nothing. I got full custody of my kids, but still I wanted to help other moms because it was hell. So I created a website, Pink Lady Investigations, and it was meant to help people go through the process.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty good at business. And so one of the things I would do is I would always email into a local news channel, whatever questions they were asking, and I would send it from my Pink Lady Investigations email to get their attention. So they saw that and it kind of got their attention. So they Googled my website and found it. So at this point, I'm at home working for an insurance company from home, and I have the TV on behind me, minding my own business, working, typing, and I hear, oh, Pink Lady Investigations. And I went, oh God, wait, what? That's me.
You were commenting on stories?
Yeah. So local, it's called Good Day Sacramento. It's just like a local Sacramento TV station.
Mm-hmm.
They encourage viewers to write in, send stuff in. It's very interactive. And so they would ask
like
questions.
Story ideas or...
Not even that, just send us pictures from your kid's birthday party. Send us, what's your tip for a good barbecue? Whatever.
Right.
Random things. And so...
What would be an example of something that you would send them or did send them?
I wish I could remember.
Oh, okay. But it had to do with PI stuff in one way, shape, or form.
No, it didn't. That's the thing. No? It didn't.
Oh, okay.
I knew if I put Pink Lady Investigations at yahoo.com, someone was going to see that and go, wait, what? So I wasn't promoting my business at all.
Got it. So it could have been about that community barbecue or something.
Yeah.
But the author, you, the submitter, was Pink Lady Investigations.
Right.
That was brilliant.
Thank you. I think I'm actually really good at business. And so what happened from that is private investigators in the area saw that and they were pissed. And there's something called California Association of Licensed Investigators.
Okay.
And kind of like a Facebook type interactive thing for only licensed private investigators that are part of the Cali organization.
Okay.
So apparently it was blowing up with, who is this lady? She is not a licensed investigator. And a private investigator from San Diego called me. He's like, hey, just so you know, you're in trouble. And I was like, wait, why? I want to help people. I've never said I'm a private investigator. You guys aren't going after paranormal investigators. Like, because it has investigate, like, it doesn't mean I'm portraying myself. Nowhere does it say private investigator. So we went back and forth. And then, he was like, so what do you do? And I was like, well, I work at this insurance company for veterans. And we ended up talking off and on for days. And he called me one day. He said, hey, I actually really like your idea. I really like your business plan. The name is brilliant. I will sponsor you for 3 years. So I didn't have to take the test to be a PI in California. I didn't have to have the 6,000 hours. I just needed his support and his belief in me. And I was able to start building my empire.
Really? So with working with him for 3 years, that meant that you didn't have to write any state exam?
Right. And that's something that they don't put on the website.
Okay.
I don't know how public they want that information.
Right.
I tell people all the time that, look, there is another possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So the next step of that was he called me on that, and we've kept in touch. I'll call him to check in, and he'll answer his phone, Pink Lady Investigations. And I was like, okay, you can't answer the phone like that as a man. But so he called me on the 3-year anniversary, and he said, Lisa, it's your turn to pay it forward. Now you go take the test, and you take people under your license. And I was like, ooh, I like it better this way. But so I'm going to take the test, and then I'm actually want to bring on women to be private investigators.
You're at the 3-year mark now?
I'm at the 4.5-year mark.
Oh, okay. So you're still officially under his shingle?
Sort of. So it's my own license. I'm a sole proprietor.
Okay.
But so basically, if I make a mistake, the state is going to go to him and say, why didn't you train her better? Why did she do this? And honestly, at 4.5 years now, they're not. They're going to call me and say, really?
Yeah.
But I stay completely compliant. I don't want to lose my license. I love what I do.
So have you decided if you are going to take that test or not?
I am. So I tried signing up for it. Mm-hmm. And I kept getting kicked out of the system because it kept saying Pink Lady Investigations is already taken. And it's a computer, so I'm yelling at my computer. I know, it's me. So I have to take the time and sit down. I'll figure it out. It's just I'm not excited to take this test anyway, so I'm not as motivated as I should be.
Got it.
But I will, because I do have to pay it forward, and I do need to bring on other female investigators.
So have you been training others yet?
Yes. So I started teaching webinars. So I'm on TikTok, and I started teaching webinars to women almost every weekend for the entire month of August, September. It might have been October as well. Groups of like 20 ladies at a time. And then from there, ones that were local and that I vibed with and that I thought we could work together well, they're not employees, they're contractors now. Mm-hmm. So they can take reports for me over the phone. They do serves. There's one lady that does my serves for me locally. She is like another version of me. Like, she is sarcastic and funny, and she records all her serves. It's a requirement for me. Okay. So I love watching her videos because she's like a little, like a librarian type with this sweet voice, and she goes up to their door and serves, and she walks away giggling. It's the best thing to watch. I love it.
Someone who people would be least expecting as she's approaching them.
Yep. And it's being a female private investigator, it's not expected. Mm. So when I do serves, I do the same thing. If it's, depending on the situation, I dress up, I dress down. One time I did it in a costume for Halloween. One time I was wearing a bikini with like a cover up only over it. Like,
You're going to match what you need to be wearing to get the job done.
Yep, exactly. I do the same thing when I visit jails. Whether I'm going to max security or minimum security, it depends on how I dress, because when it's the minimum security and they're getting out, so they're just hanging out, it's like a dorm type, it's so low key, all t-shirt and jeans.
Okay.
But when I go to max security, it's a suit blazer and slacks. It's because I need to have the respect of the inmates.
Yeah,
it's a
that
whole
makes sense.
different situation.
Well, I do want to ask you about the business of being a PI and what's involved and potential earnings. What's one's life look like if they choose that as a career? But first, I want to ask you, given what you know that others can find out about us in regards to our personal information, what should we do or maybe even stop doing to keep ourselves safer from people with less than positive intentions?
So it's difficult in this day and age because we're on social media. We're leaving a footprint online. As investigators, we have databases where we can find people.
Okay.
To access these databases, you have to be a licensed private investigator. So not just anyone can go on there, which gives some security for the public, because investigators, we're not going to give out other people's private information for no reason.
Right.
For me, it either has to go to an attorney. I work with a lot of attorneys. Or I have to be able to see the court documents showing that, yes, this person has to be served and this is the address.
And I would imagine that another layer of protection is too, when you log into that, they know whose information that you've looked at or tapped into.
Yeah. So okay. I was audited for my database 3 years ago because I got in the world of reality TV people.
Okay.
So 90 Day Fiance and Love After Lockup. So I got to know a bunch of them. And so I got kind of in that world for a little bit. And some of the reality people, they would hire me. And so my database saw that I was being hired for court purposes by one reality person to get information on another reality person.
Okay.
Which looked suspicious that I was looking up all of these quote unquote celebrities.
Okay.
So my database came back and they're like, hey, so you're going to have to explain this. There was also a Major League Baseball player who was a client of an attorney, and that was on there. They're like, what are you doing?
Right.
And so they wanted to know why I was looking these people up. So the database does a good job of making sure we're not abusing it. As for safety for the public, once you are online, there's going to be a footprint.
Right.
And so, even Gmail tracks people's locations. You can be tracked through that. Cell phone pings. I mean, unfortunately, we're not going to be 100% safe and secure from online information getting out.
Yeah. I guess it really comes down to is being conscious of what you're posting online as well.
Right.
Knowing that anybody can access that.
Right. Like, don't post pictures of like your license plate.
Right.
That drives me crazy when I see that. I'm like, no, don't do
that. Or like somebody's got like a new customized plate and they'll share it.
Yeah. Don't do that. I mean, but it's also, the thing is that's in public anyway. Someone could take a picture if they wanted to, but don't
make it easy.
Information to the internet.
Exactly. Right. Well, what does a day in the life of a PI look like? Are you stuck behind the computer searching databases, or are you out with your camera tracking the subject, if you even call that, gathering evidence? Like, what does your life look like?
So it's different from how it started. When it started, obviously, it was just me, and I was doing surveillance. I had all the equipment on me. I would sit in the car. I would take pictures. And it was fun. I think my favorite was going onto a college campus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What would you be doing on a college campus? And what equipment did you have?
A female hired me to watch her boyfriend.
Okay.
Because she thought that he was dating a girl on campus. And so I had my pen camera, which looks like a pen.
Okay.
It's actually a camera. So I sat there pretending to write. and I was just getting footage of him and the girl. That was a ton of fun. There was one where I brought my girls to like a Starbucks or a Panda Express. I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
Brought my girls to some restaurant, and we sat in the booth right in front of the person that we were watching, the guy, the girlfriend. And, I was like, hey, girls, like, say cheese, and I was being that obnoxious mom taking pictures of her kids. And I wasn't taking pictures of them at all.
It wasn't about the kids.
I was getting pictures of the couple behind us, and no one suspected it. And my girls know what I was doing. They were preteens at the time. And so they would go with me, and they knew what they were doing.
Right. So they would play into that too.
Yes.
What's been one of your most memorable jobs?
I have to be careful. One, a fake princess I investigated, and then actually reported her to the FBI because she had fake charities.
Like somebody like actually saying they're the princess of whatever country.
Yes.
Really?
Maybe I was jealous. I didn't think of it first. She did. She claimed to be a princess, and she hired PR companies to write all these articles backing up that she was this princess. And I was astounded at the fact that someone would do that. And then she created these fake charities. And so I did. I reported her to the FBI, and I don't follow up on my cases because I don't want to be that emotionally involved.
Right.
I'm hoping she went to prison.
Yeah.
But at some point, I need to cut the curiosity.
You're right.
So I don't go down any rabbit holes.
I could see that happening. So this wasn't somebody that reached out to you to investigate her. It was a feeling you got that like, hey, something's not right here.
No, it started as a custody issue.
Oh.
Someone hired me, said, hey, there's something not right with the new stepmom. Like something is off. I don't know what it is. And then I was like, you are not going to believe this. First of all, your instinct was spot on. Good job.
Wow.
But you're not even going to expect this.
Who would? That's crazy. Aside from the route that you took by having someone take you under your wing, how typically does someone become a PI?
In California, you need 6,000 hours of experience,
right?
Which is 2,000 hours per year for 3 years in a row. And then you go and you take the test.
Okay.
So usually people start out working for like these big insurance companies as workers' comp investigators.
Okay.
So you go, you sit in your car and you watch these people who are injured, maybe they're not injured, and you build your 6,000 hours that way.
Got it.
I am stubborn, and I think there's a way around everything.
So after you've worked, after somebody's clocked their 6,000 hours, then they've got the opportunity to write the exam. And then from there, they can establish their own PI agency.
Correct.
Is that it?
Correct. Yes.
All right. And I suppose that varies from state to state?
Yeah. So some of the states don't even need licenses to be a private investigator. I know Alaska, South Dakota, I think there's 5 altogether.
Wow.
So all you need to do, like with South Dakota, I was allowed to work there. I didn't, but I kind of wanted to see what the process was. And all you have to do is you pay the tax board in South Dakota, and you can practice as an investigator there.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of the states, like I said, I think there's 5 states.
Right.
And pay your dues to the state, and they're just go do
right. Yeah. Okay. So it really varies. And I found that to be the case here in Canada as well, that it is regulated by province. And so, for example, here in British Columbia, it's 2,400 hours.
Okay.
And then you can write the exam, but there's still that similar scenario that you described.
Right. And I think some states, you have to work under, I don't want to give the wrong state, but some states, I think you have to work under another PI for a couple years.
Right.
And then if you have college degrees, then it cuts down the amount of hours you need to be an investigator. Yeah. I think that's in all the states.
Who makes the best PIs, do you think? Like what attributes do you need to be successful?
So the women that I like to bring on to do the serves, to do, to call people, to get interviews, whether they know they're being interviewed or they think they're just taking a random phone call because we're sneaky.
You have your ways.
I seem to bring on moms. And I think it's because as a mom, I have to be an actress.
Yeah.
I have to problem solve. I can
Mm-hmm.
smell bullshit a mile away.
Right.
And so I do. And the problem with, I don't want to say the problem, the difference is in this area, it's definitely a male dominated industry.
Okay.
And it's usually retired law enforcement officers,
Mm-hmm.
men that are private investigators. And so I've been on investigations with them and I'll make fun of them because they, walk up to a subject and I'm like, dude, okay, stop walking like a cop. But, after going through the police academy and being an officer, it's just ingrained in
It's ingrained, yeah.
the way they stand, the way they walk, the way they talk. I'm like, you can tell you're a cop a mile away. And so there was one where,
And you're like, here, let me send in my librarian.
right, or I'll go in. I mean, there was one, this agency I was working with about an hour and a half from here. They're like, hey, we need you to go do an interview. And I'm like, all right. They said the last time someone went out to do an interview, they chased him away, throwing bottles at him and golf clubs.
Oh my.
And I was like, I'm in. Challenge accepted. And so I go there. I call him after and I said, just so you know, she sat with me for 2 hours and spilled her guts.
Wow.
He's like, how did you do it? I'm a mom. She is a mom. I connected on that level.
Yeah. You knew how to approach her.
Right. I don't, walk up. Tell me what I need to know.
Exactly. Because then you're dodging the bottles.
Right. It was so funny. They told me that and I was like, okay.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Well, who are your typical clients?
I work for a lot of attorneys now.
Okay.
I built my name with the attorneys by doing process serving because I was crazy. Someone's tried to run me over. I will hang out in a tree if I have to. I always got it done. And so one attorney would tell another attorney would tell another attorney. And so I was the go-to for getting serves done because I have my daughters and one of them is now pregnant. I'm going to be a grandmother.
Exciting.
So excited. They would like me to tone down a little bit, which is fair. My girls don't want to see me injured or worse because I'm stubborn and I want to get the job done.
Yeah.
So that's sort of why I started bringing on other people is because I do a lot of eviction serves, or I was doing a lot of eviction serves.
Okay.
And a lot of them were in really bad neighborhoods.
Right.
There was one, I went to go knock on the door and there's like a shotgun shell on the ground. And I was like, oh, someone shot a gun from this spot.
Right.
And I was like, whatever. Knock, knock, knock.
A party of thinking, okay, I need to charge more.
Right.
So in a situation like that, would you bring a police officer with you or?
No. I mean, I could absolutely ask for a standby, but they're not going to open the door for a police officer. They will open the door to a girl dressed up, hair done, makeup done, in a dress on a Sunday morning.
I see. So this is to serve them the actual eviction notice, that first level one.
Right. Because if they see a cop, they're not, especially in these neighborhoods, they will not open the door for law enforcement.
Got it.
But that was my last eviction serve I did. It was an upstairs. So I go and I knock on the door and there's a guy downstairs and he's like, oh, can I help you? And I was like, oh, I'm here for so-and-so. And he's like, oh yeah, she's in there. So then she comes out.
Right.
And I had this epiphany on the stairs where I'm surrounded. If she comes down the stairs and he comes up, I have nowhere to go. Right. And that was my last eviction serve because I have kids to come home to. And so I leave it to people that either don't care.
Right. Yeah.
Because these are difficult or, some guys I know they do carry, they have firearms on them at all times.
Yes. So that was one of those, in retrospect, possibly perfect situations where you came out of there safe, but that light bulb went on. This is the last one.
Yeah, I stood on the steps and went, I just put myself in a really bad situation.
Right. And did you hand her the papers?
She didn't want them, so I set them down, said, well, here's your documents anyway. Ran down their steps. Into my friend's car, and that was it.
And that was it. Well, how much can someone expect to earn as a PI? Both starting out as well as a few years down the road.
So it varies. So I'm just going to go based on California.
Okay.
So in California, so I charge $95 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Places like Southern California and the Bay Area, they charge upwards of $125 an hour.
Okay.
And that's for PI work.
Mm-hmm.
For serves, it's $75 is about this average for serving people. Some PIs that have been around, they don't want to do it.
Right.
So
For
they
reasons
charge,
you just described very well.
right, right. So
Yeah.
they charge a lot more. They're like, I'll do it, but you're going to have to pay more.
Right.
I get so
Okay.
much work from attorneys doing serves, I don't want to raise my prices.
And the serves are typically done like at a flat rate.
Yeah, it's usually 3 attempts for $75.
And then the PI work would just be by the hour based on how long.
Mm-hmm. You know, the time starts from when the investigator leaves, drive time during the surveillance or whatever investigation is, and drive time back. It's 95 an hour. So what I do is, because I don't have employees, I have contractors, subcontractors.
Right.
So they earn between $40 and $50 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So as the business owner, I get about 50%.
Sure.
And it's funny, the guys, it's all surveillance guys that I have. They do not want to talk to clients. They don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to hold hands with these clients that are crying.
Okay.
And it works so well because I don't want to
Yeah.
sit in the car for hours.
Right. Sounds perfect.
Yeah. So, we each get a cut of it. They do the work. I get the work. I do, process the reports. I collect the money. I do more of the office part of it now, which
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy.
And I suppose for most people, if they are aspiring to become a fully licensed PI, they will be working for someone like yourself or, like you said, the other larger insurance companies. And I suppose through that, they'd start to be getting contacts. I'm just thinking of like ways they would be able to build up their portfolio eventually. So I imagine that would come through contacts that they'd be making during those thousands of hours that they have to put in.
Right. So networking is huge.
Yeah.
So when I was doing the webinars on how to teach women to get into the industry,
Mm-hmm.
a lady went through and she contacted me afterwards and she said, I've actually already taken the test. I am licensed. I was like, why didn't you just take my webinar? What?
Yeah.
She was like, will you mentor me and help me get my business going? It's like, I love business. Oh my gosh. And I can support another woman.
Wow. And it has to do in the PI space. Perfect.
Yeah. So I've been mentoring her. So it's how to promote yourself to attorneys to be taken serious. So I've been teaching her, I think we're on 3 months now.
Okay.
And every week she has homework. So I'm teaching her how to
Lovely.
use social media. I'm teaching her how to network. You have to meet other PIs.
Mm-hmm.
I think I built my business so quick because I am super outgoing. I'm a total extrovert. I want to talk to everybody all the time. And so I make all these connections. And then,
Yeah.
I tell my connections, hey, the lady I'm mentoring, I don't like the word coaching. The lady I'm mentoring, she's a PI in the East Bay, California.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know it. I work for attorneys out there. So
Nice.
I reach out to them, hey, if you need someone there that's Spanish speaking, I have someone here. Here she is. And so I'm sharing my contacts with her. And then she has homework of meeting other PIs, meeting attorneys.
Oh, that's great.
Networking events.
And framing it like it's homework, it's like you're not giving her an option. Well, I don't feel like networking. It's like, no. You need to go out and meet X number of attorneys or other PIs. That's great.
And so, yeah, like sending Christmas cards. I'm like, you need to send Christmas cards to all the attorneys in your area.
Are there times when you've had people wanting to hire you as a PI, but you're like, no, I'm not going to do that?
Yeah. So I get the ones where it's, hey, can you track down my long lost high school friend? Absolutely. What I do is I will find them, but I will give them your information in case they want to contact you.
Okay.
And then usually, and if it's something that's up to no good, they're like, well, no, never mind.
Okay.
I get those often enough to be scary.
Wow.
Yeah. And there was one, it was a guy, can you track down my old sweetheart? I did the same thing. Absolutely. I will not give you her information. I will go talk to her for you and I will give her your information. So I did that. And she was just kind of like, she sighed when I told her, and she goes, you're the 5th one he sent here.
Oh my.
So I contacted him. I said, she absolutely does not want to give you her information. She does not want your information. And by the way, stop sending PIs there.
Yeah.
And he never contacted me again. I mean, this poor lady,
Yeah, really.
And it's actually, we don't do that because of a murder of a celebrity in the 1980s is what changed that.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember the show My Sister Sam. I think it was
Mm-mm.
the 80s. One of the actresses was murdered because some stalker fan hired a PI to locate her, and he murdered her.
Oh, wow.
So, but back in the 80s is when the PIs realized, like, hey, we can't do that.
Right. Good. And that's part of the code of ethics.
Yes.
Yes.
We got to keep everyone safe.
And just being a good human.
Right?
Yeah. Well, clearly you're a person of action, Lisa. I mean, you started your side hustle, grew it, quit your full-time job. And now in addition to running your agency, you're helping others become successful PIs. So what's your best tip to inspire others to pursue their side hustle dream?
My tip is also the scariest thing to do.
Okay.
And that is put yourself out there.
Mm.
And it's easier for me because I am an extrovert. But you have to go to all the networking events you can, and you have to put your ideas out there and your business plan out there and all your ideas. I mean, I've had ideas that don't work, and I've had ideas that do work.
Sure.
I know it's the fear of failure that keeps us from following our dreams, but that's also what gets us where we want to be.
Yeah. Well, if you tried 10 different business ideas and 9 of them fail, but man, that one is the star.
Right.
You got it.
I also want to say one other thing really quick. When I was married, when I had this idea of starting Pink Lady Investigations. And so I remember, like, we're just laying in bed, just talking. And I said, I actually do want to become a private investigator. And he said, you can't just become a private investigator. And I was like, well, now I have
to. Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. Just like the interview where I thought I'd be chased off with, glass bottles and golf clubs. You have to be able to take the negativity and throw it out, because there's always going to be negativity. People are always going to say, you can't do that.
Right.
And so it's just, you have to keep going, and you have to put your ideas out there.
And oftentimes it's something that they can't see themselves doing. So they think, therefore, you can't either.
Right. Well, I don't have that part of my brain that says, no, that's not possible. Like, I get an idea and I'm like, I'm doing it.
That's terrific. That will bode well for your mentorship clients.
Right.
The people you're mentoring, because of course you could do that.
Right. And, and they follow me on social media and they see what I'm doing and what works. And I give my advice and I see it being done. Like, oh, they listen. They're going to do so well.
Nice. Well, where is the best place for listeners to connect with you, Lisa?
So I have my website, pinkladyinvestigations.com, and you can email me directly from there. Okay. That is the best way. People message me on Instagram, and it'll take me weeks to see it. People message me on TikTok. Those messages, they'll never be seen. Social media is not the best. Definitely emailing me through my website.
Perfect. And we'll make sure that website is in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for pulling back the curtain on what it's like to be a private investigator and for being today's side hustle hero.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's a wrap for today. You'll find a link to Lisa's website and the show notes on our website, sidehustleheropodcast.com. And I'd love to hear your feedback on the show, on the guests, how this podcast is helping you. What areas could we do better? Shoot me an email message to hello@joanposivy.com or by DM on Instagram @joanposivy. Thanks for listening, and hustle on.